Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss how Germany is suggesting the UK negotiate a customs union with the EU. As it's been reported, Brexit has created an extra 2 billion pieces of paperwork. This is red tape that did not exist when we were in the EU. It's red tape created by leaving and costing us a fortune. It would take a very long time to re-enter even just the single market, but a customs union would not take long, would not be complicated, would not require the dreaded freedom of movement, and would improve trade and boost tax revenues, something Labour say they want to prioritise. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So I've said over the years that objecting to a customs union with the EU is one of the more confusing of Labour's Brexit policies. I know why they're currently ruling out full membership again or even joining the single market. I get the politics of that. I did eventually come up with an idea about why I think they're ruling out the customs union as well, but it was just speculation on my part. I've never actually heard any argument, even off the record, for why Labour are opposed. So I just assumed it was because if we joined the customs union, it would signal a general desire to join the EU itself one day. But I don't know if that is the reason. What's annoying is that journalists don't even seem to ask. Like, Labour actually say why they're not in favour at the moment of joining the EU or joining the EU single market. I've never actually heard them ever say why not on the customs union. But opposed, anyway, they are. And it's a manifesto promise. So I accepted that we were not going to negotiate a customs union in this parliament, but hoped that their other EU alignment policies would bear fruit, and then we could be ready to scrub out the least contentious red line for the next election, and then maybe the rest of the election after. After all, ask the average member of the public if they'd object to joining the customs union, and most of them don't seem to really know. And that is because most people don't actually know what a customs union is, but they also recognise that they don't know. See, most people also don't know what the single market is, or they don't know what freedom of movement is, but they think they do know. Not so much with the customs union. I gather that David Lammy has been arguing for this at cabinet level as well. There'll be plenty of people supportive of the idea. Before Brexit, it was calculated that leaving the customs union alone would cost the UK £25 billion a year. Now, given the current rate of tax, that would mean the Treasury are losing about £8 billion a year just because of our exit from the customs union. And of course, this is all based in money from a few years ago. In reality, you could probably increase these values by a bit to take into account like inflation. Now, this is nothing like the loss from being outside the single market, but this is a quicker and easier problem to fix. The single market could take like 10 years to negotiate. And given that various groups, including the OBR, have said that their pre-Brexit calculations are still valid with the latest post-Brexit data, we have to assume that these figures hold true as well. So there's every reason to believe that joining the customs union with the UK could be worth at least £8 billion a year for the Treasury. In fact, it could even be more because of the extra jobs, which would come with extra trade and, you know, even reduce reliance on some of those welfare payments that Labour have been fretting about of late. But the point is that Rachel Reeves would certainly not be turning her nose up at an extra easy £8 billion a year in revenues, which doesn't involve raising any tax rates. And businesses would welcome the news. Labour say they want to get rid of unnecessary red tape. Well, there's a lot of unnecessary red tape with Brexit. An extra 2 billion pieces of paperwork since Brexit. Although, of course, some of that is related to being outside the single market, not just the customs union. But although I was ready to hope, okay, let's make good progress with the EU, try and get this veterinary deal, things like that, and then prepare for the customs union red line being dropped at the next election. Now I'm thinking, why wait? It would be a breach of the manifesto, sure. But a few things to say about that. First of all, I think Labour already broke their manifesto promise this week with their proposals for PIP. So if they're happy to break a manifesto promise, why not at least break it in a helpful way? Second, it would be worth more to the UK economy than the damage about to be caused by Trump's tariffs. Note how being outside the EU is no longer believed to protect us. It's actually made us more vulnerable. We are expecting to cop for some of Trump's tariffs next month. Reeves has admitted that Trump could sink her economic plans. So why not protect those plans with easy ways to boost the economy? Third, it should be easy to link the extra trade and tax revenues with some benefit to the key voters. £8 billion plus can buy you a lot of things which voters think are useful to have. Governments sometimes have to change course according to geopolitical realities, and if the public see the logic, they will absolutely go away with it. You know, the Tories got away with quite a lot during the main pandemic years because the public recognised the unforeseeable pressure, right? Well, Labour can do the same. And Germany is even suggesting we do exactly that. Yesterday at the British Chambers of Commerce, the German ambassador highlighted the benefits Turkey has enjoyed being in a customs union with the EU. The ambassador was specifically linking the proposal with the discussion set to take place next year on the trade and cooperation agreement, suggesting, well, why don't we have a little talk about this then? Now, obviously, the ambassador is representing the German government, not the EU Commission, who will be leading those discussions on the EU side. I mean, it's a strong sign that the largest economy in the EU and Europe in general is not all that keen on rubber stamping an extension to the agreement in largely its current form. He also talked up the prospects of the veterinary agreement that Labour have as their main aim with EU talks. So, you know, from the biggest member of the EU, we are getting a lot of signs that they are keen for the much closer trading relationship that Starmer also wants. But with an uncertain global economy facing the prospect of an insane Trump-fuelled trade war, and with our own Chancellor admitting that this has the potential to crap all over her plans for the next few years, it seems obvious that Labour should reevaluate things. Yes, it needs to do what it promised in the manifesto, but it also promised in the manifesto to prioritise the economy. After all, think about key voters still concerned about another decade of Brexit arguments. So what will upset them more? Aligning our customs rules, when most people don't even know what that means, or having to constantly cut from the budget as Trump's tariffs eat more and more of our trade? Because we've already had one correction and we're going to have another next week. So in the next couple of weeks, Labour will have already cut back on some economic plans, right? Because the economy has suffered. What happens if it carries on suffering because of Trump? What are we going to do? Keep cutting? Or should we just look at expanding trade? But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.